Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode number 126 of the Wise Guy Sports Show here on the Wise Guys YouTube channel. I am one of your hosts. I am the Big Rican on Sports, Mike Martinez, and without any further ado, I bring to you my co-host with the most, Mr. Jim Cernity, JC Bluno, and Jim. Happy Sunday, sir.
Happy Sunday. We're now smack in the middle of fall. We got football, we got hockey, we got the end of baseball. I mean, we actually said this is now when it starts getting fun, is because we've got all four major professional sports going on at the same time. Just the only problem is that, by the time the guys on the hardwood, the games finally count, the guys on the diamond, their season's going to be over by a matter of days.
Yeah, and just to tell you how much is going on tonight, we not only have Sunday Night Football going on right now, but we also have game one of the 2025 ALCS, and Cleveland's playing Boston and getting blown the fuck out right now.
Yeah, but really, how many guys are they probably playing at this point?
Exactly. It's a lot of fun. I got to tell you, I turned it on for a minute, and there was that 22 in that Cleveland jersey. They're wearing the wines tonight.
Yeah, I mean,
it's different. I'll throw
the actual rotation guys that's actually in this game. It's like Mobley, Hunter, Allen, Ball, Garland, Mitchell, Spruce. None of them have entered the game.
No, I don't think you'll see any of those guys more than every other game, especially in the preseason. The schedules don't count. You really want to get your game lungs built back up and what have you. So, listen, we're a week away from tip for the NBA season, or 2 weeks.
I want to say it's the first week in November,
or is it Halloween night?
October 21st, regular season will open. Yeah, you're right. You're a little over a week.
Yeah. Holy, it doesn't even seem like it's that late in the year already, dude.
It really doesn't. It's because we're probably just so used to how long training camp and exhibitions are in all the other sports, even after they've shortened them. The NFL still shortened to 3 preseason games, and it still feels like an eternity from the time that they open camp until that first Thursday night kickoff.
Well, you got to figure it also with the NFL, it's become rookie mini camp, OTAs, this and that. And it seems like they're playing every friggin' week, no matter what the fuck they do. So really, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but it's also the fact that I think it's just because we can also wholeheartedly say this, no matter how much of our devotion is to the NHL and the NFL and the MLB respectively, we all look forward to NFL training camps just because it's of that time of the year. Even if we're not huge fans of the teams that are involved here, with that is I've got my Bills cap on tonight, even though they don't play until tomorrow. But everyone relishes when the NFL preseason comes back and when training camp comes back.
Yeah, I look forward to it too. Obviously, I'm a bigger baseball guy than probably most people you know. And, I call my official rebirth the first day of pitchers and catchers, for Christ's sake. So I'm not as big into it as you are with the NFL. But again, for us here, obviously, I'm big into it as it takes up really the majority of our year, does the NFL. And for that matter, now with the expanded playoffs, college football does too. But Jim, we have had a very interesting week in the sports world. We've had champions crowned. We've had coaches axed. We've had ranking shakeups. And we have had some of the most deplorable play. And I'm not even talking about the Cleveland Browns. Which, again, is shocking to all of us. Not that they played well, but they weren't the worst out there. So what do you say we get this thing rocking with tonight's hat trick, huh?
It's the 3 biggest topics in the world of sports from the last week. Get ready for the Wise Guys hat trick.
I've really got to learn these things because I'm trying to remember each goal horn as you play it, and I can't come up with the right one.
I'm actually I'm slowly but surely getting into the process of because I'm on vacation next week. It might be a goal of mine to be able to cut all 30 horns because the songs may change, but the horns pretty much stay. I should say 32. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10.
So you have 22 more to go.
Yeah. It would have been better if I would have had 12 because you know how I could have counted them.
How?
Sesame Street. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. You know what? I'm turning my board on too because I'm going to, you know what button I'm going to hit a couple of times tonight just to make you really wish you never gave it to me. Oh, God. But I want to start with college. We're going to start with college football night, week 6 in the can. We are at the halfway point of the college football season already, which is unreal to me. You see the top 25s rolling across the bottom that came out today with the AP. But Jim, I want to start all the way to the right there on the bottom. We'll deal with the first thing on that list at the end. But let's start at the end. And I want to ask this question. Would the real Texas please stand the fuck up? I have never seen a top-ranked team coming into the season be this goddamn inconsistent. It is borderline horrible.
And yet the hilarity is that there have been talk of is Steve Sarkisian being held hostage, much like how the Cleveland Browns were with the Johnny Manziel thing about being forced to play somebody with that kind of hype, like Arch, even though Arch sat for most of last year and really kind of came in either in relief or in mop-up time. And Texas is now back to 4-2 and very quickly playing themselves back into that conversation.
They are. I believe they will lose in Athens. I think it's either next week or the week after when they go to Georgia. Because here's the thing. Arch hasn't played well in any road game. Think about it. You had the opening week in the Horseshoe, which, again, not an easy place to play in your first real start. That's not Louisiana Monroe, which is who he started against last year. Or was it Lafayette? One of the two Louisiana schools that are dog shit. He started against them last year, and of course, mop-up duty, a package here and there with Ewers starting. He had his first start at Ohio State. He was not good at all. Not at all. Then he had the game in the swamp. And Billy Napier saved his job beating shit out of Arch Manning for 4 quarters.
Which is
the thing is, everybody's
because the guy that we wanted to lose his job did, and the guy we were kind of hoping would keep his lost his, and we'll get to that here in a little bit.
Yeah. So moving on from there, I mean, just from that point of it, the one thing people will say to me today is, oh, well, they played Oklahoma yesterday. Yeah, they played Oklahoma at a neutral site. Calm your shit. The Red River game every year is played at the State Fair in Texas. It's not a home game for Oklahoma, and it's not a home game for Texas. That stadium is actually physically cut in half, where one half is burnt orange and the other half is maroon, and these two fan bases and these two teams go at it, and usually it's a better game than this. I will say this. Brent Venables needs to watch his ass too.
And yet what's funny is that if it's either a close game or it's somebody mopping the floor with somebody else, and that's what we had yesterday. That that final score, that 23-6 final, was really not nearly as close as a lot of people thought it was.
No, it wasn't. And Oklahoma blew a chance to make it 9-0 at the half, because they were up 6-0 at the half, and
6-3.
they had a chance to make it, or 6-3. I'm sorry, they had a chance to make it 9-3 going into the locker room, and they horribly mismanaged the final drive. First of all, John Mateer should not have played yesterday, and by doing that, he played himself out of the Heisman conversation.
20 of 38 for only 202 yards and 3 interceptions.
Yeah, the Heisman's going to come down to the Mendoza kid from Indiana, who we're going to talk about next, and either one of 4 dudes: Jeremiah Smith, Julian Sayin, the kid from, who's the quarterback from fucking that they're talking about? Why can I not remember this dude's name? Oh, the kid from Alabama who's played outstanding.
Simpson.
Yes, who's played outstanding, even though you don't hear about him much for whatever reason. He's another one that could be on that list. And I brought up Smith and Sayin because they're playing out of their minds right now. But I need the real Texas to stand up, Jim. I really do. Because yesterday they protected Arch against a very good defensive front that Oklahoma has. They hadn't protected him all year. Their running back, who was a holdover from last year's national semifinal team, ran the ball well, hadn't run the ball well all year. So did you get up for your rivalry game, or are you guys a good team that was just playing bad? What's the story? What do you think? Seriously?
We had a game in London. I can say that.
That's true. What do you think it is with them? Do you think it's up for a rivalry game, or is this a good team that was just playing like shit?
There's part of me that actually thinks it's growing pains, because now this actually kills me, because with that win, it strengthens their schedule to where the Ohio State loss is now actually better for the Buckeyes. And me, it's, if I had a vote in the top 25, they wouldn't get one.
I know.
Out of sheer principle, and I can't believe that you actually put Julian Sayin in Heisman competition, because he's only kind of putting up those numbers, with it. I talked with my father earlier about this. This is coming down to Miami and Ohio State, because nobody else wants to really kind of step up here. Mississippi had a close shave.
It's Wazoo.
Right. It's if you look at the undefeated teams kind of still left in the country, as I'm going down everything, Navy and Memphis, certainly the schedule is a little bit more inferior. Georgia Tech undefeated. It's going to come down with them and Miami. They're going to go head to head here in a few weeks, so somebody's going to fall out there. BYU and Texas Tech. Texas Tech, do not sleep on the Raiders right now.
No.
Especially with that defense. They've scored their point differential is almost plus 80 at this point. And they're up to number 7, which is one of their highest rankings in a couple of decades. Indiana and Ohio State both 6-0. If I continue to go, UNLV 6-0 in the Mountain West. Ole Miss and Texas A&M both 6-0. Texas A&M has really not been dramatically challenged. Their point differential plus 8 is 81 scored, only 36 given up in 6 games, and they look like they could be one of, if not the team to beat, kind of building off of last year. So what is that? What did I just name? 8, maybe 9 undefeated teams left, and those are going to start falling by the wayside because you have to figure if Ohio State and Indiana run the table, they're going to meet in Indianapolis. Um,
Yep.
you know, Ole Miss and A&M are going to meet up in a couple of weeks. Miami and Georgia Tech are going to meet up in a couple of weeks. Navy's going to meet up with Memphis in a few weeks. So I mean, it's definitely kind of thinning out the herd here. Um, But if you're Oklahoma, I don't care if it's a rivalry game. It's that Ohio State and Michigan mentality. You cannot go into a rivalry game and only put 6 points on the board. And that's
No.
why outside of Michigan, who was 15 and fell all the way out, Oklahoma was the furthest drop in the poll this week that managed to stay in the poll.
No, I agree with you. You cannot play a rivalry game like that. I mean, moving from Red River and kind of all encompassing, who had on their bingo card Indiana would play football all of a sudden? Let me put it this. I heard this stat this morning because my wife and son actually slept in this morning. I, of course, was awake at 6 o'clock going, you motherfucker. So I came downstairs. By the way, 9-0, number 4 in the country with your Mizzou Tigers on my game there, sir.
They actually won?
I've beaten Florida, LSU, and 2 other ranked. I won at Neyland. Yeah, they've got some speed fucking burners on the outside. It's wonderful. Anyways, I heard this stat. In the last 30 years, Indiana has 3 wins in the top 10 in 30 years. Not 3 wins a year. 3 wins. Signetti has both of them in the last 2 years.
I want to come back to Signetti when we start talking about the James Franklin scenario.
Okay.
But Indiana's definitely got something cooking here, and it very much shows that last year was not a fluke. Even though they were dramatically overranked going into that Ohio State game, it was basically process of elimination that they were in the top 5 for the first time in God knows how long, or maybe even ever. And I think that's the only reason Ohio State got, seated as high as they were, just because it's another top 5 opponent.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Because as much as they had the loss to Michigan and the loss to Oregon, they still had 2 wins in the top 5 and 3 in the top 15 come the end of the year. And unfortunately, in college football, you can't ignore that. No matter what your opinion is of where the rankings are, it's not Herman Edwards. It's you play the guy in front of you, and you get everything that comes with it, whether it's good baggage or bad.
Yeah, but this is also. But last year, if there ever was a case for not even doing the rankings until the playoff, until the playoff starts up,
100%.
Rankings in the first half of the season mean nothing. Really, realistically, in college basketball, they don't mean anything at all.
No, they really don't. Especially with these, was it 68 in the field now?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the 68-team field, that's half of the college basketball programs in Division I are getting into the dance. At least this is 12. So you have to have.
Well, first of all, not even close, because there's over 306. There's over 340 Division I. Because remember, in college basketball, anyone who's 1AA and even some Division II programs are eligible to play Division I. So there's no 1AA. It's all Division I.
Okay, you're right. I forgot about that. Football's the really the size of the school is where you're going to land.
Right.
So going back to the rankings thing, with as crazy as the rankings are this year, because of everything, think about it this way: 1, 2, and 3 in the preseason poll. 1 just got back into the rankings this week. 2 is out, and they're the biggest part of they're the main part of the next segment. And 3 has been number 1 since week 3. So I hate preseason rankings. I can't stand the fact that you see things like Texas Tech behind Alabama, who now has a horrific loss on their schedule because Florida State keeps falling on their face. I will say this about your Miami thing, Jim. They have not left the state of Florida yet. Think about that.
I understand that.
Outside of their home state.
Yeah, I understand that. But if you look at the remaining schedule and also, I mean, whatever happened beforehand, we know Miami's already beaten four top 25 teams. Ohio State's got 2 right now. Illinois, who fell out altogether, and Texas, who basically, kind of just got themselves back in. But when you look at Miami, Miami's already got 4, and yet they still have to play a tough SMU team. They still they don't get Georgia Tech this year. They will in the play. They will in the conference championship. They still have to play Louisville, who's 4-1, who quite honestly should be ranked. Syracuse isn't anything. NC State is barely above 500. Virginia Tech is not very good. And then they also have to play Pitt, who, is really honestly should be ranked. So, I mean, they've still got potentially 3 more top 25 matchups ahead of them, including possibly an undefeated clash to win the ACC.
Is South Florida still ranked?
They got back in now.
Okay. So basically
they fell out, which ironically enough, the only loss on South Florida's schedule was the Miami game.
This is where I don't like the ranked wins thing, because your argument Miami is absolutely solid. At the time of the game they played, they were ranked, this, that, and the other thing. Jim, one of their big ranked wins is 3-3 Florida State, who they nearly blew the lead to. South Florida is as close to a 1 AA team as you're going to get, but they're ranked. I get it. So whereas we look at that way, we then have to splay it all over the place. Because yes, first of all, why Washington wasn't ranked going into that Ohio State game, I don't know. At 3-1 with the highest, either the first or second highest producing offense in the country and the second longest win streak at home, how do you not get to 25, but 0-2 Notre Dame is in the poll? That's a problem.
Well, it's also because 0-2 Notre Dame, that one of those losses was in Miami in terrible conditions.
And the other one was at home.
In a downpour, and they lose in the final minute. And
the other one was at home.
And don't look now. Notre Dame is back to 4-2 after starting out 0-2 and got themselves up to 13, looking to put themselves back into the top 10, which is basically going to further bolster Miami's resume. Ohio State, unfortunately, is not going to have that rebound story.
No, they're not, and they're not going to have the rebound game either.
One of their opponents.
I mean, what the Buckeyes have left the rest of this year, at Wisconsin on Saturday afternoon. Surprised it's not a night game at Camp Randall. Home for Penn State.
It's because Wisconsin's 2-4 and they don't deserve it.
It's still Camp Randall, though. It's still Camp Randall. But then home for it. I'm going to finish the schedule, and then I want to talk about the first one because it's at Camp Randall, bye week, home for Penn State, at Purdue, which is a place of horrors. Here's one for you that is sneaky good all of a sudden, and that's hosting UCLA on the 15th of November. Did you see Papa Neuheisel? Did you see the video? That's awesome. And then home for Rutgers, and then the big one up in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, but look at the strength of schedule. Wisconsin's 2-4. Penn State just terminated their coach. Purdue is 2-4, 0-3 in the conference. UCLA is 2-4. Rutgers is 3-3, and Michigan can't decide which version of them wants to show up despite being 4-2. So they actually have a very, very below average schedule the rest of the way out.
They do. They
And they're going
absolutely
to get it. They are basically Eddie Murphy in that movie when he wants to be a congressman. They're going to get where they want to go on their name recognition only.
Listen, if they run the table and you bookend the season with wins against the number one team coming into the season and a top 5 team in the Big Ten championship, they've earned the number 1 spot in the tournament. Stop it.
There's no way you can make that argument. I don't care how much of a homer you are and how much of a hater I am. If you look at Miami's resume, and let's say that they're meeting up either with Georgia Tech or Pitt, with as good as Pitt's running right now, there is no way that Miami is not the number 1 seed over Ohio State. Although, again, we know it doesn't make a difference because by the time they get in the tournament, we're all on neutral ground anyway.
Exactly, because let me real quick before we get into the easiest figured out thing that happened today. Are you for or against the first 2 rounds being played on campus?
Against.
So you like the first round on campus and then neutral site?
Yeah, because first of all, it actually the first things first is it doesn't require trimming any bowl games or doesn't require adding any bowl games with that.
Point.
So I like the way that it's set up now. I'm still thinking that they, let's be honest. I would personally feel I would not have a problem if they went to 14 and this way only the top 2 got buys as opposed to the top 4.
Okay.
I mean, I'm still a very firm proponent of I hate automatic buys in pro sports. You don't get it you don't get it in March Madness, and basically with the way that they're being played, we're talking about minor league football right now, played on Saturdays instead of Sundays.
Sometimes Fridays. Miami plays Friday night.
What was I seeing online? I want to say it's this coming Wednesday, there will be a game every night of the week from now until the day after Thanksgiving, in some capacity between college and pro.
The fuck?
Because we got, you'll have Wednesday football. You've got a couple of Tuesday games in there. You've typically got NFL Thursday. You'll have Friday night games. Typically Pac-12, Big Mountain West, some Big 12. Saturday naturally, Sunday naturally, Monday Night Football. So you're going to have some level of provided you got the proper cable subscriptions or what have you, you're going to have a game to watch every single night.
That's crazy. So let's get into that first thing there, and that is the one thing that we thought was going to happen, especially after the UCLA game, and the one thing that, after 11 years there and really turning around the program, is also very sad to see, and that is James Franklin, the very good head coach of the Penn State Nittany Lions, is fired today. They are buying him out of over $46 million on that long-term contract he signed. Really brought the program back to prominence after the whole Sandusky thing and the Bill O'Brien experiment. But starting in 2014, he won the Big Ten, I think, twice. Of course, with McSorley and Saquon Barkley, they had that run in 2016 with the blocked field goal to beat Ohio State, win the Big Ten on a walk-off. They won the Rose Bowl that year. No, they lost to USC. They lost that game, right?
Correct.
Gets into the playoff the first year of the 12-team playoff, and he gets to the national semifinal. Loses to Notre Dame on a last-second field goal, and would have given him a shot at Ohio State again had he won. But the mark of James Franklin's tenure, unfortunately, and I'm going to say this to you, you're not going to like it because you think I'm just because of the shirt I'm wearing. He's Harbaugh pre-Connor. Couldn't beat a top 10 team, couldn't beat Ohio State, couldn't beat Michigan. He is Harbaugh pre-Connor Stallions. Because remember, Harbaugh before Connor Stallions was 0-5 against Ohio State. He was 1-3 against Michigan State, and he was 2-2 against Penn State.
Respectfully, Michael, and this is not me trying to upstage you or take a shot. The mark on James Franklin is not going to be his lack of quality wins against the big names. It's going to be his complete and total inability to develop some of the best recruited quarterbacks to come out of college football, especially in the Big Ten, in the last probably 20 years. Look at basically the strides that went backwards with what he did with Christian Hackenberg. Look at how he had Drew Aller, who a lot of people 2 years ago had as a top 5 pick, and failed to develop Drew Aller last year and also this year. And now Drew Aller is basically going to end up a 3rd or 4th round pick after the ankle injury at this point. That's going to be that was the downfall of James Franklin. That, and also trying to get. I understand that people might think he could he get an NFL job as a coordinator or something. Is he actually going to go grab somebody else's job? Like, for example, like UAB fired Trent Dilfer. Is he actually going to go to a mid-major like that and take over? Is he going to actually jump up to the NFL and kind of follow the Bill O'Brien chart, go as a coordinator or something like that? Because O'Brien was basically, up here when he left. James Franklin might even be a little bit higher above with that. But again, with the quarterbacks that he had, McSorley, Hackenberg, Aller, not what I watched a video the other day. As a matter of fact, it was Friday night, about 1:00 in the morning. I'm trying to fall asleep, and I just put a video on for background noise, and I couldn't. And it was the fact that he had underdeveloped Christian Hackenberg so badly that Christian Hackenberg was a 1st round pick that never played a down in the NFL.
He was a 2nd round pick.
He was a 2nd round pick that never played a down in the NFL.
Where'd he get drafted?
I understand that, but it's also he should have been a top 5 pick had they developed him at the college level. He regressed so badly from that 1st to that 2nd year at Penn State.
Well, let me add another wrinkle.
By the time the Jets drafted him, he was damaged goods already.
Agreed. And of course, he lands with the Jets, which is just a death sentence to begin with. But let me take it one step further than just the inability to develop these quarterbacks. You are 100% right. But I will say this. Some of the decision-making while playing the position for both guys that you just mentioned, Drew Aller and Christian Hackenberg, was horrific. It was horrific. We've seen Aller throw some balls that you're like, bro, what the fuck are you doing?
That's how I felt with the kid from Mizzou yesterday. That honestly, they should have won the game.
They should have won that game.
Yeah. Why does he make that throw? Because then Alabama takes that in, scores, and then Mizzou just runs out of time at the end of the game.
Exactly. No, I wanted to mention that to you before, and I totally forgot you just said it. They played a hell of a game yesterday, but that kid was so up and down because he's been on point all year.
Yeah, and that's why for as many matchups as we had when the teams that were ranked lost, we saw the big drops that they had. Oregon drops 5 spots, but Mizzou being that close in that game against Alabama that they really have not won against that major team. That's why I think the writers got it right, only dropping 2 spots.
No, I agree with you. But going back to Franklin, I said the other thing too is this, Jim. Neither quarterback you just brought up ever had weapons. If you think about it, we made this joke a few weeks ago. They had Julian Fleming transfer after he graduated from Ohio State, a guy who, watching him play, in that wide receiver room, and even you who can't stand that program have to admit that's a hell of a room they have there. Brian Hartline has done a phenomenal job with the wide receiver room. Even as the O coordinator, he's done a phenomenal job recruiting for that position. You brought in Julian Fleming, who, by the way, to CJ Stroud was his number 2 target. And they didn't get him the ball. Tyler Warren was their number 1 receiver last year. For the years before that, their running backs were the number 1 receivers coming out of the backfield every single year. He never had weapons on the outside. So he was a great recruiter of quarterbacks. He's a great recruiter of running backs. He's a hell of a recruiter of offensive line. He couldn't recruit a wide receiver to save his fucking life. And that's another thing that as much as good as he was to bring that really blue blood program back to national prominence, his lack of recruiting of weapons for these quarterbacks who would sign on to follow in the footsteps of Kerry Collins and Blackledge and those boys who won championships, where were they? They weren't there. I'm sorry. They weren't there. And I think Julian Fleming only went to a Penn State because, one, he's from Pennsylvania and wanted to play there, and also knew that with the kids coming in, he wasn't going to play. So, it's a sad thing because of how good of a coach he is. Well, maybe Franklin is more suited for the NFL because he can't recruit for shit when it comes to certain positions on the field. He always had decent defensive backs. Joey Porter went in the first round. He always had good linebackers, always had good D-line and good O-line. Always had stud running backs. He recruited Saquon. He recruited McSorley.
So
the James
go ahead.
I was saying it's over, but who's taking over?
I was just going to ask that. Who's going to take this job? I've got a name in mind. Do you have one?
On a permanent basis or the interim for the rest of the year?
Well, we already know who's the interim.
I didn't see that. Who is it?
I just was looking at it. Where'd it go?
Terry Smith.
Yep. Who's the associate head coach?
Yeah, I would look at this one. I'm giving my attention to the internet right now. Who's your name?
I'd like you to go first and see if you're going to steal my thunder a little bit.
I have 2 names in mind. One of them would be a big middle finger, and the other one would be interesting. The big middle finger would be if Eddie George has a good year at Bowling Green, you'd go and get Eddie George. The interesting one would be if UCLA does something stupid and doesn't hire Neuheisel's kid permanently. Those are the 2 names I can think of off the top of my head. I don't think Dilfer could handle a big program, honestly. No disrespect to Trent Dilfer, but no. I don't think there's any NFL head coaches that are going to come back and blow it up like Belichick's doing in North Carolina. Who do you got? Who do you think?
I think even though you're paying him $46 million out the door, I still think that there's going to be enough in that budget to throw a whole bunch of Brinks trucks at Curt Cignetti at Indiana. And I think right now, even though Indiana's really got something cooking that we talked about, I think Cignetti might be destined for bigger and better things with what he's done with that program. And I'm just hoping it doesn't turn into the whole Scott Frost thing, that he actually moves his way up from smaller schools and then he goes to the major program and just flames out because he's too good of a coach and an even better guy. But I'm actually putting a lot of stock that they're going to try and throw a ton of money to get Curt Cignetti away from Indiana.
I think you're right. I think he could be on their short list. I don't know if he'll leave though, Jim. Because of Scott Frost. I mean, you're talking about a guy. Didn't he follow Franklin and James Madison or something?
Well, remember, Frost was UCF, then went to
Cignetti.
What's
Cignetti
that?
He was at James Madison before.
Oh yeah, Cignetti was at James Madison. Yes,
but wasn't he the coach right after Franklin?
I want to say yeah, because remember, Signetti was the one that fought the law and won with the whole James Madison not being bowl eligible, and the NCAA had to allow them to play, their first year up from one double A.
Okay. Um, yeah. So I mean, two reasons. I think Signetti is a long shot there. It's not a bad name. I mean, it's a hell of a way to go. Here's two reasons I think he's a long shot. Number one, what he has built at Indiana in 2 years is pretty fucking amazing. He's on a trajectory to be a national championship contender for many years to come. The other reason is if he is the guy who followed James Franklin, you want to do it twice? Did you honestly want to do it twice?
Here's where I think he is. He's definitely on their short list and he's climbing up because what he's built, yeah, at Indiana, great, wonderful, terrific. It's still a basketball school and he's going to be able to recruit anybody that he wants, that he targets, and he's going to be able to steal guys away from Columbus and Ann Arbor and East Lansing by
He
going to Happy Valley.
definitely could. He definitely could. That's an interesting name, Jim. I got to be honest with you. It's a very interesting
Because
name.
he's gonna be challenging if he stays in Bloomington. He's going to be contending every single year if he actually gets the reign of what he wants. I mean, could in if he does make the move in 2 years' time, are we saying that even though Ryan Day's got a national championship, could Kurt Signetti be the best coach in the conference?
I think the argument's starting now with how good he's done. And in a few years, if he goes, they could have two, God willing. But he forced my hand. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. But the problem is, it's still that question. Do you want to follow the guy twice? Do you want your career to be what you've built, or do you want your career to be the guy who cleaned up James Franklin's mess?
I'll end the segment on this. To quote Jamie Lee Curtis in Trading Places, can't we have both?
Was that Jamie Lee Curtis or the chick laying next to Eddie?
It was. I think it was. You know what? You might be right. Nobody can remember her name
next
because
to Eddie.
everybody was focused in on Jamie Lee Curtis.
Duh. Speaking of, you see she's doing Murder, She Wrote?
Yeah.
Kind of excited.
It's about as weird as actually seeing Kathy Bates' Matlock.
Yeah. Yeah. So, James, we've been through college. There's only one other place to go.
So we turned from the guys on Saturday to the guys on Thursday, Sunday, and Monday, and very, very early on Sunday as well. And the NFL's Week 6 schedule is in full swing right now. We've got the Sunday nighter going on right at the moment. We've got a doubleheader tomorrow night. I'm starting to kind of get a little bit tired of these doubleheaders, especially one starting at 7 and one starting at 8. I don't mind if you do it that way, but save it for earlier in the year. But we've got Bills Falcons tomorrow night at 7:15. We've got Bears Commanders tomorrow night at 8:15. But we've got a good one ongoing right now with 7 minutes left to go in the first half. The Lions lead the Chiefs at Arrowhead 10-6. And the Lions looking to go to 5-1 and drop the Chiefs to 2-4.
This is the year we thought we were getting from Kansas City a couple years ago. But there's a lot of ball left, so let's see what they do. Let's start with Thursday night, and what the fuck was that, dude?
The Eagles lose back-to-back games for the first time since near the end of the 2023 regular season, falling 34-17 to the New York Giants, and the Giants have now won back-to-back games. Jalen Hurts, 24 of 33, 283 yards and a touchdown. Cam Scatabo, the rookie out of Arizona State, 19 carries, 98 yards, count on 1, 2, 3 touchdowns. And Jackson Dart shines as well. The Eagles are now 4-2. The Giants are 2-4.
Here's my question. Is Cam Scatabo the karmic second coming of Peyton Hillis?
I was afraid when you actually were starting to say that. That's where I thought you were going. I just think he's got more longevity because of how much younger he is.
Agreed. I'm talking more running style than I am talking impact.
I think so. It's just because they've got something. Remember when we did our NFL preview that we all said, you know, I actually said that Brian Daboll was going to be the first coach fired. That's definitely not going to be the case now with the way that the Giants are going. They look like they've got their franchise quarterback. They've got their franchise receiver, even though he's lost for the year. You've got your franchise running back. You've got your franchise defensive end in Kayvon Thibodeau. You've got pieces there. They just need to actually be able to put it all together right now. I'm not sure if Daboll's going to be the guy to do it, but he's definitely got the ability to do it.
I agree with you. I think what they need is a line. James, a line. It's the thing they were missing every year except the 2 years he went to the Super Bowl. It's the thing they were missing when who they draft after? Oh, with Jones. Look what Danny Dimes is doing in Indianapolis. That ought to tell you how much of a shit show the Giants have been.
Yeah.
But the Philly's got some things to answer for, man. I don't know. You know what this makes me think? This makes me think that last year they caught lightning in a bottle. Because they, in all honesty, they should have lost to Tampa. They should have lost 3 in a row.
Yeah.
They got manhandled physically the week before. Who did they lose to? Who's their first loss again?
Eagles?
Yeah.
Denver last week, and then the Giants this week. And it doesn't get any easier because now you have to go on the road to Minnesota next week.
Yeah, and they didn't really look great the opening week when they beat the Cowboys.
No, they did not.
So, look, Jalen Hurts is turning into the Jalen Hurts of Alabama with the way he's playing. There's scuttlebutt A.J. Brown's going to get moved because he's not getting the ball. Like, come on.
There's a lot of talk. I was seeing some reports from several different outlets that we could have a very busy trade deadline, which typically we don't get in the NFL.
No, this isn't baseball. No.
Or hockey or the NBA. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're going to have some things to answer for this coming week. Can we skip the London game? Because that was just fucking ugly.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll cover it real quick. Just kind of going down the pipe. In Tottenham for the second week in a row, we get a 9 a.m. start Eastern time. Denver moves to 4-2 with a 13-11 win over the Jets. Bo Nix, 19 of 30, 174 yards and a touchdown. Breece Hall leads all rushers in this game with 22 carries for only 59 yards. The Jets are 0-6, and Michael, we talked about it off air. The JC Blue Note number of the week is 9. Mike, do you know what that number represents?
No.
The New York Jets ended up with negative 10 passing yards. Justin Fields' quarterback rating this week was 9. They had one more net negative passing yard than quarterback rating this week. Mike, for as many jokes as we make about the Cleveland Browns, as many jokes as we make about the Miami Dolphins with the Tua situation, and we're going to get there. As many jokes as we make about the Titans, as many jokes as we make about the Giants. Are the Jets the worst team in football? And why is the answer
Okay, can we not do that right now?
You beat me to it. Yeah, they are. They are. And I want everybody to pump the brakes for a minute. Let's start here. Aaron Glenn is trying to break stigma and build something. So please get off of Aaron Glenn's ass. Secondly, and maybe most importantly, the Chicago Bears broke Justin Fields. Broke him. But he's also working with no O-line, one weapon on the outside. That's it. Their defense has played okay. I don't know what it's going to take to fix both the quarterback and this team, but I think Aaron Glenn's the right guy for the job. He was there for the turnaround in Detroit, which was just as hapless for many, many years. They're terrible. They're god awful. They're green because they're the same color of the dumpsters that they play like. I grab my, because I'm going in early tomorrow because there's no school. I grab clothes out of the closet so I didn't wake anybody up by opening the closet or let Knucklehead in the closet and he's in there doing stuff. Yeah, I saw my Jet jersey and became physically ill because they're terrible. Maybe they can bail Sanchez out of jail.
if there's any silver lining for the Jets, their next 3 games are home to Carolina, at Cincinnati, home to Cleveland. I mean, you got 3 games that are winnable, even though we're going to talk about Carolina here in a minute, getting back to 500. We'll talk now about Danny Dimes, that in Indianapolis today, one of the better games of the day. The Colts moved to 5-1 with a 31-27 win over the Cardinals. The Cardinals fall to 2-4. Jacoby Brissett, 27 of 44, 320 yards and 2 touchdowns for the Cardinals. Jonathan Taylor, 21 carries, 123 yards. And I'm pulling up Danny Dimes's stat line: 22 of 30 for 2 touchdowns and an interception and 212 passing yards.
Danny Dimes is 5-1. The fuck? What's wrong with the world, James?
In another we had some really, really good games today.
Yes.
It basically, at the Horn, the Chargers come away in Miami with a 29-27 win over the Dolphins, dropping the Dolphins to 1-5. And the Dolphins and Browns play next week. So yeah, there's your prison inmate game of the week. Justin Herbert, 29 of 38 for 264 yards and 2 touchdowns. Lad McConkey, finally back from injury, 7 catches, 100 yards and a touchdown. The Chargers are now back to 4-2 and back into first place, tied with the Broncos in the AFC West.
Listen, Mike McDaniel is going to get fired. I don't know how much farther he can bring them. I'm a firm believer that they did the stupidest thing possible in tying themselves to Tua for the next 80 fucking years. So Miami's getting what they deserve.
Another good one. New England moves to 4-2 and for the moment is only a half game back of the Bills for first place in the AFC East, as they go into New Orleans and come away with a clutch 25-19 win over the Saints. The Saints dropped to 1-5. Drake May is the real deal. 18 of 26, 261 yards, 3 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara, 10 carries, 31 yards. Chris Olave, 6 catches, 98 yards in a losing effort for the Saints. But again, the Patriots are 4-2 and already on this young season are 3-0 on the road. And I hope you caught the Bram video that I sent you. What kind of karma did New England have to where they had Tom Brady and 6 Super Bowl titles and 4 other Super Bowls in there? They whiff on Mac Jones after the 1 playoff appearance, and now looks like that they've actually got another franchise quarterback, but yet are likable.
They're likable because they're head coach. I have not met a football person that I've spoken to that is not like Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel is a great coach.
And
Goes to
Drake
show
May
you,
is a hell of a lot more likable than Brady ever was.
or Mac Jones for that matter. I like the Mac Jones that brand plays more than I ever liked Mac Jones the player. Let me say this. The fact that Mike Vrabel is the head coach of the New England Patriots and Kevin Stefanski is still in Cleveland tells you what a good organization is run like and what a terrible organization is run like.
We're going to get to that one here in a little bit. The Panthers are now 3-3. I believe they beat last year's win total already, or at least matched it. As they pull off a last second win, 30-27 over the Cowboys. The Cowboys fall to 2-3-1. The Panthers are 3-3. Dak Prescott 25 of 34, 261 yards, 3 touchdowns. Dowdle for Carolina goes off. 30 carries, 183 yards. George Pickens, 9 catches, 168 yards, and a touchdown in a losing effort.
Did Dallas's run defense show up today?
Apparently not, because Rico Dowdle had himself one of I want to say this is the best rushing game by an individual player through the first 6 weeks of the year, even though he didn't find the end zone.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're playing ball control at that point in time. You're keeping Dak off the field. Dak had a good day. Dak had a really good day. You get a quarterback play like that and you fucking lose, it's on everybody else. Sorry.
The most surprising game of the day, not because so much of the outcome, but the teams that are involved, because they've been early surprises this year. Seattle goes into Jacksonville and hands the Jaguars their second loss of the season with a 20-12 win. The Seahawks are also 4-2 and also 3-0 on the road. Sam Darnold, 16 of 27, 295 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jackson Smith in Jigba, 8 catches, 162 yards, and a touchdown. And Kenneth Walker III, 10 carries, 34 yards for the Seahawks. Again, the Seahawks are 4-2. The Jags are also 4-2.
Look what happens when you have competent coaching and weapons to a quarterback. Kind of like the game I hope you go to next.
No, not necessarily, because we're gonna head to the desert and we're gonna talk about the Raiders, because we kind of have to. The Raiders hold serve against the lowly Titans, who got their first win last week, 20-10. Cam Ward, 26 of 38, 222 yards and a touchdown. Ashton Genty, 23 carries, 75 yards, and found the end zone. Van Jefferson, 4 catches, 75 yards. The Raiders improved to 2-4. The Titans fall to 1-5. And at least now we know that they're not going to be taking a quarterback in the top 5, because they're starting to get more consistent play out of Cam Ward.
Yeah, no, he's definitely started to play a lot better. I think. Damn. So I had I'm playing the games on Fanatics for Fan Cash, and I hit on 5 things. You have to hit on 6 to win the money. The one I missed was Danny Dimes having 40 rushing yards. But I had JSN at 120, went for 160. But Genty, the reason I said that Genty was one of the guys I had in there was going to score a touchdown. Listen, we knew he wasn't going to be what he was at Boise because it's the NFL. He's been damn good.
In kind of a scenario that nobody thought of earlier in the week, Cincinnati holds serve with a 27-18 win over the Bengals. The Packers improved to 3-1-1, 3-0 at home, dropped the Bengals to 2-4. Jordan Love, 19 of 26, 259 yards and a touchdown. Justin Jacobs, 18 carries, 93 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jamar Chase, 10 catches, 94 yards, 1 touchdown. Oh, and by the way, who was throwing to Jamar Chase? Oh, yeah, that's right. That was Joe Flacco, who was traded from the Cleveland Browns to the Bengals in midweek in a stunner, who was 29 of 45 for 219 yards and 2 touchdowns in this one game. What is it about Flacco and Cincinnati? He tosses a touchdown in Cleveland's lone win, and he picks up 2. So he matched his entire yearly total in one game in a losing effort today with the Bengals.
My God. Let the old man spin it. I like it.
Second to last game we'll talk about here, Tampa and the marquee matchup of the day by far. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers pushed to 5-1 with a 30-19 win over the 49ers in a battle of NFC divisional leaders. Mac Jones outduels Baker Mayfield slightly here, 27 of 39, 347 yards, 2 interceptions. Rashad White, 17 carries, 65 yards, and a touchdown for Tampa. And Kendrick Bourne, 5 catches, 142 yards for the 49ers. In the win, Baker Mayfield, 17 of 23, 256 yards, 2 touchdowns. And leading receiver Cameron Johnson, 4 catches, 64 yards, and a touchdown. The Buccaneers are 5-1, and right now, I believe, are the best team statistically in the NFC.
You would be right. You would absolutely be right. And by the way, he didn't outduel Baker. Baker won by 11.
In terms of yardage accuracy numbers, I mean that's a damn good game for Mac Jones.
That is a damn good game for Mac Jones. Now let me give you these. This is not the Big Rican number of the week, by the way. That's for the next segment. But let me give you through 6 games what we're dealing with. 1,539 yards, 12 touchdowns, 1 interception, and 108.5 QBR. Fuck you, Grossi and Mary Kay. Fuck you. Get to the piece of shit team now, please.
The second to last game, the Rams move to 4-2 as they go into Baltimore and keep the Ravens reeling with a 17-3 win. Baltimore leads 3-0 after the first quarter and doesn't do a damn thing the rest of the day. Matt Stafford, 17 of 26, 181 yards and a touchdown. Derrick Henry finally woke up, even though nobody else really did anything. 24 carries, 122 yards. Zay Flowers, 6 catches, 46 yards. We emphasize it every week, and I'm going to actually do the Lance Storm pause for dramatic effect again. The Baltimore Ravens are 1-5. The Baltimore Ravens are 1-5. And the only reason the Baltimore Ravens are not in the cellar is because they beat up on the lowly Cleveland Browns. The Baltimore Ravens are 1-5.
And every game, we learn more that Lamar Jackson may just be the most valuable player in the NFL.
Lastly, like sands through the hourglass, Cleveland goes into Pittsburgh and can't do a damn thing as old man Aaron Rodgers, 21 of 30, 235 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Warren, 11 carries, 52 yards. DK Metcalf, 4 catches, 95 yards, and a touchdown. And the Steelers win 23-9 as Cleveland fails to find the end zone yet again. The one of the lone bright spots, even though because Quinshon Judkins was bottled up very well by the Pittsburgh front 7. Dylan Gabriel, 29 of 52 for 221 yards, still did not turn the ball over, but again, could not find the end zone and was certainly not helped out. As I want to say, this is an unofficial stat, but Browns dropped at least 7 passes today, including a couple that would have actually set up would have kept drives going, and I want to say at least 2 of those could have been touchdown passes.
Well, let's ask another question. James, when was the last time the Cleveland Browns beat the Pittsburgh Steelers?
You're talking in Pittsburgh or overall?
In Pittsburgh.
That would be the playoff game in 2020.
Yeah.
Which there were about 700 people in that stadium.
Yeah.
And I want to say 500 of those people were team staff for TV.
Yes. The only thing that I can say about this game has nothing to do with the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are leading now the weakest division in all of football, basically by default, because they've won more than 2 games. It is not about Aaron Rodgers and his exorbitant age, and it is not about the fact that even J.J. Watt, whose brother plays for that piece of shit team from that city, said the refs were giving them home calls left, right, and center. No. It's to say again, Mike Vrabel was in the building all year last year, and he's not the head coach this year.
And as you see there, the Browns cleaning house. So not only is the Flacco trade part of it, but the Browns also traded starting cornerback and former first-round pick Greg Newsome to the Jacksonville Jaguars in basically an even swap. So Newsome, as a starting cornerback, goes to Jacksonville with a 5th-round pick. Jacksonville sends a starting cornerback of their own back to the Browns with a 6th-round pick. And the guy ended up playing better in a half of football than Greg Newsome really has played all year, to be honest, from what I was able to see with that. So the Browns are already cleaning house. Michael, this is not a secondary JC Blue Note number of the week, but did you happen to see who was the emergency quarterback for the Browns on the depth chart today?
I did not. I know Shador was listed as a number 2, right?
It was not
He
Bailey
wasn't.
Zappi.
He wasn't.
He's not been activated. He's not been come off of he's not come off of PUP, but on the unofficial depth chart going into Saturday, he was listed as the emergency quarterback. By them trading Flacco, we talked about it when I was on lunch. Is he going to actually see the field this year? Are they going to be stupid enough to play him?
James, it's the Browns.
I mean, at the very least, we know that Black Monday, there's going to be 3 names that are going to be jettisoned. 2 are going to be official. Andrew Berry is going to be gone as general manager. Kevin Stefanski will be fired as head coach, and Deshaun Watson is basically dead man walking for 4 more months until June 1st, when he can officially be cut.
Here's the issue I have with the whole thing, and it's very simple. This is a cornerstone franchise of the NFL. And when I say the NFL, I'm going back to before the merger. This man, and by that I mean that dumb fuck in the owner's box, has destroyed this franchise. Destroyed. I wasn't this angry at Art Modell.
I don't know about that.
He sold his soul.
Here's the thing. I think when Al Lerner passed away and Randy Lerner took over, I think that's when the franchise got ruined, because he paid absolutely no attention to where he had to eventually sell the team off, and Haslam was about as good as they were going to get.
But here's the problem with that. The owner shouldn't have day-to-day say, i.e., Jerry Jones. You should hire football people. Jimmy Haslam finally has football people. Barry's put together decent rosters. He has. Jimmy Haslam handcuffed them with that piece of crap that's going to end up playing this year.
Well, if you think about it, he handcuffed them with Watson. He probably told them to draft Shador with that circus, and he also forced their hand on Johnny Manziel.
Yeah, but here's the difference. Okay, Johnny, I'll give you. Here's the difference with Shador. You got him late enough that it's not going to set you back a decade. You did not get Deshaun Watson like that. Anybody with half a brain in their fucking skull knew Johnny Manziel was going to flame out quick.
And the worst thing is that basically that spelled the end of Josh McDaniels here. Would we have wanted Josh McDaniels to possibly take over as head coach for, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years and think of where this franchise could have been with the way that McDaniels is able to develop quarterbacks?
McDaniels is an
And the
offensive
fact that the
coordinator.
only quarterback the Browns have actually developed was before Stefanski got there, and now is actually the MVP of the league through the 6 games elsewhere on his 4th team.
Here's the thing. Here's my problem. We talked about this. Willie and I talked about this. The dumbest thing this franchise has done since 1999. There's 3 of them. 3 of them. 1, you didn't know how to draft offensive line for Tim Couch. 2, you wasted Joe Thomas. And 3, you didn't let Baker play out his contract. Because like I've said, and like you've agreed to, if you get 2020 Baker in 2022 with the added game, that's 3,800 yards, 30 touchdowns, 9 picks, and you're a playoff team. Baker wasn't going to command the kind of money that Deshaun did or the kind of draft capital, and you could have built a juggernaut.
And now they're running into an all-new problem because Gabriel looks semi-competent back there.
He did.
Their receivers, there's not a bona fide number 1 because Jerry Jeudy can't catch a cold right now. But you got your stud running backs, I should say, because Dylan Sampson looks very serviceable. You've got a great defense. If you look at the draft for this year, you have hit on every single one of those guys so far, with the exception of Shadur, because you have not put him out there. Schlesinger looks like a Pro Bowler. Judkins is going to be a part of an all-rookie team, or at least at worst a second team. You've got to now draft offensive linemen because Bitonio is definitely up there. This might be his last year. Conklin left today's game with another injury. We talk about Denzel Ward stubbing a toe and missing a month and earning that hospital nickname. Jack Conklin hasn't played a full season since he was back in Tennessee, really since he came over in that trade. But we understand that offensive linemen are always going to be busted up or hurt or something. And Conklin is 6'6", so that's a lot of weight on a little bit lankier and bulkier of a frame. DeJuan Jones, after having that one half a good year, and I'm not trying to slam him because he's a Buckeye, looks lost. They have nothing. Their offensive line is piece made, and they actually said that this is now 6 games and 6 different patchwork offensive lines the Browns have started with. So they need to basically go out and get as many offensive linemen as they need to this year to be able to keep Gabriel upright, because he got sacked 4 times and hit 16 times today, including trying to actually go after, I can't remember what his name was, Patrick Queen?
It was Patrick Queen. And here's where I'm cool with that, and here's why I have a problem with that. I'm cool with it because he showed fire. I'm not cool with it because it wasn't a dirty hit.
I love the fact that he actually grabbed him and dragged him while he was on the ground. That kid's got some teeth to him.
He's got some fire. I will give him that. But I will say this. It wasn't a dirty hit. So I don't know why he got pissed. And if you're that pissed because you got hit, punch your offensive lineman. Sorry. I've got nothing for you.
I think it's because he kind of went lower than he expected him to.
Possible. But Gabriel's 4'3". Where else do you want to hit him?
So we move from one set of grass and turf to we get to the boys of summer now turning to fall, winding officially down. And We are currently in the midst of Game 1 of the American League Championship Series as the top seed Toronto Blue Jays, fresh off of several days worth of rest after arguably some of the greatest trolling that we have ever seen that we'll talk
Oh my
about
God.
in a moment, going up against a Seattle team that didn't they actually just finish playing like what 12 hours ago at some point, it seems?
I think 15 is more of a likely because they did have to fly across the country into Canada. By the way, right now it is 2-1 Seattle in the sixth. The big dumper has gone deep. But James, the Major League Baseball Championship Series and the playoffs bring us to the Big Rican number of the week. And that number for the first time since we began doing that is a date. And that is October the 9th. Do you know what October the 9th is so significant for, James?
There's not a year attached with this, is there?
There's actually 2 years attached with this.
Would this happen to be the last time that the Seattle Mariners reached the championship series?
No. The dates are October 9th, 2024 and October 9th, 2025. As 1 year removed on the same day, the Philadelphia Phillies were eliminated from the playoffs both years on the road in Game 4 of the Division Series. 2024, of course, is the Francisco Lindor Grand Slam in New York in Citi Field. And this year, of course, is the Orion Kerkering error to allow the winning run to score in LA. When we get into our baseball preview, they will look much different. But going back to the way that Seattle got to their first LCS, since you and I were under the age of 22, it hurt me physically to just say that. Actually, I think we were 22 and 23.
I tried to stay up and watch that game, and I guarantee, I think because, me being the bachelor, still sometimes can pull 2, 3 in the morning if I actually get enough wins, or enough food in me to where, it's breaking down into energy. Um, I I think I fell asleep from the 7th inning on. I think I fell asleep 3 times and woke up to hearing the champagne corks popping in the locker room at
Nice.
at 1, I wanna say it was like 1:40 in the morning Eastern time.
Yeah, I didn't stay up. I went to bed almost midnight, and it was in the 13th. And I said, "Man, I hope nobody I know is sitting up." And I'm like, "No, Jim's sitting up, or he's
The
trying
fact
to."
that
Anyway.
Seattle had 2 chances to win that game in the 12th and the 13th and grounded into double plays to end both innings. I actually thought we were gonna come on here and say after blowing a 15.5 game lead, the Detroit Tigers were now 4 games away from the World Series, and I can't believe I'm actually thanking Seattle. Um, although, did you happen to see who was rocking a Kraken jersey in the locker room smoking a cigar afterwards?
No, I didn't.
Cleveland legend Josh Naylor.
Nice. Real quick score update: 13-10 Kansas City at the half. The champs got some fight in them.
Yeah, I mean, it was a one-score game. You kinda have
Yeah.
to figure
Yeah.
they can't afford to lose this one. Detroit
No,
can, you know, I
they
mean,
can't.
because Detroit and Green Bay are gonna duke it out all year. Kansas City cannot afford to fall, 2 full games back of the Chargers right now, already having a tiebreaker lost.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Going back to the playoffs, you got to tip your cap to the Tigers, though. Yes, they blew the 15.5 game lead, but they did get up off the mat.
We do.
They went, theoretically, you should,
We
just for the resilience factor.
do because AJ Hinch needs my foot up his ass, and every single fan of baseball should be in the same boat.
I'm not discussing management. I'm discussing players. For as I mentioned I mentioned last week that there will be another Big Rig actual episode of the podcast coming up. And something that is going to be said many, many times during this is players play. So those players played bad to lose a 15.5 game lead. They got up off the deck. They exercised a couple demons by unfortunately taking out the guards. And they took the number 2 seed in the American League to game 5. And they had him right where they wanted him. They had Scooble on the bump. He pitched great in game 5.
On short rest.
On short rest. And I got to give credit to their bullpen. Never mind grounding into those. They got out of those jams. So as much as I can't stand the Tigers for beating the guards, I have to give them credit for getting up off the deck the way they did. Having said that, I have never pulled for the Seattle Mariners more than I am right now. And I adored Ken Griffey. Loved Randy Johnson. Is it bad I want to see Cal Raleigh get a ring before Aaron Judge?
Aaron Judge walks into a bar to watch the rest of the playoffs.
Sits down next to Soto.
I think we all can wholeheartedly agree that as long as it's not the Dodgers, we don't care who it is because either somebody's going to get there first or it's going to go. Wouldn't it be hilarious with all the shit show of everything going on, politics in the country and everything, that Toronto wins America's National Pastimes World Championship?
Do you remember Euchre's line from Major League 2?
At least they're not from Canada.
Not from Canada. I got to be honest, though. If I am pulling for a team, it's the Mariners because they've never won one.
I think that the worst matchup we could hope for would be, and I say this respectfully and lovingly, would be Milwaukee and Seattle, because you always would love to see somebody get there first, but not at the expense of somebody else who's also going for their first.
I think it would break my heart a little if Milwaukee lost the World Series this year. If anybody but Milwaukee wins this World Series, I'm going to be a little hurt. They've got a guardian angel, Jim. And he's the funniest son of a bitch we ever saw. But listen, I like Seattle in the LCS. They've got the better pitching. Both lineups can bludgeon you to death. Bo Bichette's not on the ALCS roster, by the way.
Right.
Chris Bassett and one other pitcher are back on. Gossman started tonight for Toronto. I don't know who started for Seattle. As the Cavs got the fuck beat out of them.
Better troll job for Seattle. It was Miller.
Oh, Miller. Okay.
Better troll job. The Brewers holding up an L flag after beating the Cubs, taking the team photo at Miller Park, or okay, we already know who wins this conversation. Mike, would you like to say it?
So being interviewed during the
You
champagne,
you don't even have to lead up. Everyone say it. Just say the damn line. Say the line, Bart.
Yankees lose. No. The best part of that wasn't that Vladdy said that. Did you see what Pedro said on TBS?
What didn't Pedro say on TBS?
Well, you know Vladdy's his godson, right?
Yeah.
He said, all these years, Yankee fans keep asking me, who's your daddy, Pedro? I know who their daddy is. It's my godson. Or Poppy bringing out the sombreros and the tequila. That was fucking beautiful.
You know that had to have been water, though.
No, I don't think so. And the fact that he does it on a desk with A. Fraud and Jeter. And Rodriguez loves it. He thinks it's great because he knows he's so far removed, it don't matter. It pisses Jeter off to no end. Did you see Jeter's face when he said they could bring Jesus back? They're going to Cancun.
it's so wonderful just watching those two hacks, just sit there and have to take it.
Well, I mean, they gave it back a little bit when the Yankees beat the Red Sox. But Ortiz just adores when they lose. I think it's great. Um, Going into this is the first year it's all division winners since 2013. But the NL series, I think, is going to be a lot. I think it's going 7. Um, Look, the Dodgers are nasty. They are an offensive juggernaut. If their pitching is right, you're going to see Sasaki. You're going to see Yamamoto. You're going to see, um, what's his name? Glasnow. You're going to see Otani. Not that I don't think the Brewers can hang. You have to see how healthy Jackson Churio is because he did leave game 1 of the LDS with an injury after Milwaukee just beat the shit out of the Cubs in game 1. I don't know if he's healthy. I don't know if he played the rest of the series. But, the Dodgers have Freddie Freeman. They have Otani. They have Mookie Betts. They have these guys that have been there, that have rings, and that are superstars. And they're not just superstars. They know how to play in October. The Brewers are coming off their first series win since 2016, 2017. So it's going to be interesting. If I had to call it now, I honestly think Seattle wins the American League. And unfortunately, I think the Dodgers are going to win the National League. And then you have a Seattle, an all West Coast World Series. That I think the Dodgers, if that ends up happening, the Dodgers are going to win the second year in a row.
I'm thinking the Dodgers are peaking at just the right time.
Yeah, they flipped the switch.
There's part of me that's thinking Toronto. I'm thinking Seattle would take game 1 high off the momentum from a couple of nights ago, but I think Toronto has got enough in there to be able to hold off, um, Seattle down the stretch here, just kind of like how they held off the Yankees in Boston when everything got really, really tight. Because Seattle was in a dogfight for most of the year. Toronto's had that mentality of playing ahead and watching somebody nipping at your heels where um that's where I actually think that the NL series could be end up being a better series because the Dodgers and Brewers essentially went wire to wire all year.
They did. And they were the two best teams in the National League. Um, the Phillies rode 2 hot streaks to the 2 seed. I think we can all agree on that. The Phillies also ran in the most inconsistent division in baseball. You had a team in the Atlanta Braves that was supposed to go to the World Series by most experts finish under 500 because of injuries. You had what my Mets did with the most roller coaster inconsistent season you've ever seen. The Phillies took advantage of that. I am finding it hard to see the Dodgers not winning a second championship in a row. And it annoys me. It's not the payroll. It's not that. It's just, I want to see somebody new win a championship. I want to see a city that's never won get a title. If my team's not in it, that's usually the team I'm pulling for. If the Guards aren't in it, or if Cleveland's not in it, because obviously,
Or what? Or I think the kind of the tier goes somebody who's never won one, somebody breaks a drought, and then way, 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 way down here in places you don't talk about at parties, teams going out and trying to buy one.
agreed. I will say this: the Dodgers do still have a good portion of their team that is homegrown. Most of their bullpen, some of their rotation, a couple players. I mean, Kike Hernandez, for all the places he's been, he was a Dodger farmhand. Will Smith, the catcher, Dodger farmhand. I believe the third baseman is a Dodger farmhand, as is the shortstop.
I mean, but you got to figure Will Smith is probably not going to be there that long because he's going to walk up and just kind of pimp slap Laz Diaz if he calls a game behind home plate or something.
I would pay his fine.
Wait. Sorry. Wrong Will Smith.
Why does the Final Fantasy thing sound like the beginning of The Odd Couple?
Oh, my day is complete. I'm scrolling through. I buy my new game on Switch, as I was showing you, and I also see that the Final Fantasy VII Remake is coming to Switch January 26th, 2026. So I
Nice.
might be taking a full month hiatus at that point.
Nice. So, Jim, what do you say we blow through halftime and just get this thing done?
Hey, in case you haven't noticed, and judging by the attendance, you haven't.
I was just waiting for.
There.
I was just waiting for you to actually answer. I didn't know you were going right to you. That's great. So yeah, this week's blast, NHL's opening week, and of course, do we start with the title or do we start with the NHL? Let's start. Let's give the title what it deserves. Let's start with the NHL opening week, and let's talk about the day you had the other day, James, when you had 5 games going and all of them ended like you didn't want them to.
So the NHL opens their season on Tuesday with 3 games. They have a couple of games on Wednesday. All 32, basically not so much all 32, but the majority of teams have games on Thursday, which is basically the primary start of the season. I have all 5 teams that I follow: the St. Louis Blues, Buffalo Sabres, New York Islanders, Winnipeg Jets, and now the Utah Mammoth all start their home seasons. All start their regular seasons. The Blues, Sabres, and Jets are all at home. All 5 of them lose. And the Sabres and Blues get shut out. In fact,
Weren't they identical 5-0 games too?
the Sabres were 4-0 and the Blues were 5-0.
I thought you had said 5. Both of them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
The Islanders lose to Pittsburgh, who actually debuted, and I'm trying to get it pulled up. Nobody told anybody that the Penguins debut a brand new alternate jersey for the home opener. And as it will take me just a quick moment to pull this up, and I don't have a problem with this.
The fact that it's a Pittsburgh sports team and you have no problem with it tells me these are actually pretty nice. Holy shit, those are nice.
I do like those.
Is the igloo patch on the shoulder?
The igloo patch is on the shoulder. They have the 3 stripes represent the 3 rivers. They remove the triangle to put the focus on the penguin. They go to the yellow, which they hadn't worn as a primary since back in the early 80s. I kind of like these a lot. I'm not saying I'm ever going to get one or cheer for them, but I like these.
No, they are very nice.
You know what they remind me of?
What?
Pop Stargell and those triple stripe We Are Family caps.
The We Are Family Pirates, yeah.
With the 3 stripes on them.
Yeah, no, the ones they wore when they won that World Series in 79. If he comes back, the kitten's downstairs. I'm going to grab him.
The LA Kings also introduced a brand new jersey. We'll save that for another day. The first hat trick of the year belongs to Kirill Marchenko from the Columbus Blue Jackets, as he nets a hat trick for Columbus, picking up their first win of the season, a 7-4 win against the Minnesota Wild last night. So here's how the NHL screws up. They have 3 games on opening night. They with the Panthers raising the banner at 5 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time. They have a couple of games on Wednesday. They have all those games on Thursday, and they have no games on Friday. And then they put all 32 teams in action Saturday and 1 game only today. How could you have the opening week and put everybody in action and then nothing on a Friday night?
Because Gary Bettman's a moron.
I don't get that. I don't get that at all.
Me neither. Say hi, Tank.
The Buffalo Sabres are already eliminated from playoff contention, as they are 0-2 and have scored 1 goal and given up 7 in their first 2 games. At least they scored in their second game. Every other team has at least 4 goals through 2 games. Some teams have already started playing 3. The Utah Mammoth will open their regular season at home. The first time we'll actually see the Mammoth logo at center ice at the Delta Center after all thing. We'll actually see that on Wednesday night. And the one last piece of news, actually 2 more pieces of news. First overall pick for the New York Islanders, Matthew Schaefer scores his first NHL goal last night against the Washington Capitals on a rebound that was a massive, massive cluster, and he just poked it home coming up from the defensive position. And then a couple of big injuries already that we actually had. Buffalo Sabres forward Josh Norris out indefinitely with an upper body injury in Buffalo's home opener. And then this was a couple of weeks ago, but we forgot to mention it. Carolina not only is missing Matthew Tkachuk for the first couple of months, they're also going to be missing Captain Sasha Barkov for the entire year after he tore every basic ligament. He tore the alphabet soup of ligaments in his knee very early on in training camp.
I saw the Barkov thing. Oh, we knew they were going to be without Maddie. That's a rough way to start the season as the cat's attacking the microphone stands. But I know you're happy that hockey is back. I know your brother is happy that hockey is back, because every time he trolls the Browns, he brings up that the NHL season started.
Yep.
But let's get to that second thing here in the Blast, Jim, and that is the Las Vegas Aces have won their 3rd WNBA title in 4 years, in a season when they really reshaped the roster, trading fan favorite and my personal favorite, Kelsey Plum, before the season started, in a move that made both of us scratch our heads. They dominated that series. That was ugly. I mean, I think we would have loved to have seen the Liberty play them at full strength. I think that would have been your better series.
Or the Aces and Lynx.
Yeah. But hats off to Phoenix for getting to the WNBA finals, and not so talked about the first year post Diana Taurasi. But the WNBA MVP, and now she was a finals MVP too, right?
Correct.
Agent, yeah. They have the same colors because they started in the same town and then moved. This team reminds me of the Spurs. Those Spurs teams of the mid-2000s who you just couldn't beat, that won 5 titles. I mean, unreal. Congratulations. Hats off to Vegas. And screw my minority owner Tom Brady, because screw him.
One quick item on each. Mike, your opinion on the Nate Tibbetts ejection in Game 4?
I didn't see it. I read about it, but I did not see it. Little ticky tack, if you ask me.
I don't think because because Rebecca Lobo on the call is immediately thinking he made contact with the official, whether it was the male or female official is irrelevant. He did actually get up in her face, which, quite honestly, should get you tossed out.
When I say ticky tack, I don't mean what he did wasn't wrong. I mean, coaches jaw refs all the time. We both know Becky has a mouth on her. We both know it. My question is, if Becky was the one to get in the ref's face, would Becky have gotten tossed? Not saying she wouldn't have, but I'm saying, would this have been played the same if it was a female coach in the female ref's face? I'm not saying they're right
There's
by any stretch of the imagination.
there's some truth. There could be some truth to that.
Yeah, and again, what he did was deplorable. You don't ride a ref that hard like that. Male, female doesn't matter. Unless it's Angel Hernandez or Las Diaz. Then you do whatever you want.
Right.
But the question has to remain. And I don't think it's a wrong thing to ask or not PC, whatever. If it was Becky, would the same thing have happened? I don't know. I hope it would, because again, cross the line. But the question would be asked. Plain and simple.
Going back to the NHL for one moment, two other pieces of news that we had were some massive contracts signed. Kyle Connor
Yeah.
re-signs for 8 years, $96 million with the Winnipeg Jets. Jack Eichel signs 8 years, $108 million with Las Vegas, meaning that of the top 20, I should say the top 15 average value contracts in the NHL, the only one who is either not on the back end of that contract where we know it's going to be their final contract, a la a Sidney Crosby or a Carey Price or a Shea Weber, the only one who has not been signed, and Mike, you and I talked about this, and I'd like to get your take on it, is the bread man, Artemi Panarin with the Rangers, who is going into the final year of that contract.
I think Dolan is being Dolan right now. Because yes, after the CBA goes into effect, the 8-year contracts are gone. I think he will get Panarin at a shorter term, higher AAV. Look for Panarin about 4 to 5 years, and to be a higher AAV than what Connor just signed.
Because Connor signed for 2 years, 25 million, a 12.5 AAV. It still pales in comparison to the one that Kirill Kaprizov signed last week. And ironically enough, when the Blues opened against the Minnesota Wild, the Blues home telecast, that's the first thing that every time they actually showed Panarin in warmups, the conversation was the richest man in the NHL, Kirill Kaprizov, who quite honestly could be one of the best players in the NHL. But Panarin is coming into the final year of a 7-year, $81.5 million contract that he signed back in 2019. He is a UFA after this year and is currently 34 years old. He's starting to approach that Sidney Crosby territory. I don't think that he's going to get the level of money that we've seen because of the fact that, again, he's 34. Could he maybe be going into 7 or 8 million a year at that point? Maybe we're talking like John Tavares type money with the fact that he's only got one more contract left in him. Or does he start going the Corey Perry route of basically being a hired gun and sign for, 4, 5, 6 million, a bunch of different places? Because Corey Perry, as we all know, is on, I want to say, like his fourth team in the last 6 years.
I think Panarin's going to depend on how the first half of the season goes. They've got an Olympic break this year, right?
Correct.
By the Olympic break, I think you'll know what the Rangers are going to do with him. Because if he's playing really well, Dolan's not going to want him to hit the open market. And if he's not, I believe they will trade him and turn him into the hired gun that we just referenced with with
Because
that.
when you go down the Rangers kind of depth, Panarin on left wing making 11.6 million this year. Uh, you go kind of their second tier left wing. They've still got a lot of bank in Alex Lafreniere, uh, as who's only 24 and making 7.4 per year, and actually is extended through 2032. And then from there you've got to go to Will Cooley, who's on the hook for just shy of 4 million for the next 2 years. He's an RFA after next year. But they've got a lot of money tied up in some big names. The JT Miller signing coming back at 8 million a year. Vinny Trocheck signed at center at 32 years old for about 5.6 for the next 4 years after this. There's not a whole, and then you look at you look at the defense. You got Adam Fox at 9.5 for the next 4 years. You've got Vladislav Gravikov at 7 million for the next 6 years. You got Will Borgen, who just got signed to a big extension of 4.1 for the next 5 years. So the range, and then you've also got Shesterkin in net for 11.5 at 30 years old for the next 6 years. So you've got a lot of guys who are basically now on their last major contract, unless things fall apart, and the Rangers always love to move guys with these big contracts, which is how they acquired Panarin in the first place. But it's a little strange that Panarin is he's the key to making your team run, and Adam Fox is really close there, and then JT Miller kind of coming back and being named captain and everything. It's a little strange actually seeing them with a guy like Panarin for everything that he's done since he's come over 6 years ago, and he's basically kind of being left out to dry now that the season started, when all of these other guys were signed just before camp started.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, just before the regular season started.
I mean, it's the thing that always baffled me about NHL contracts is they sign long-term deals in their mid-30s. And I haven't really seen anybody except for the guy doing the radio in New York right now not honor it and not play until their late 30s, early 40s. I mean, look what Ovi's doing. How old's Ovechkin?
41.
Exactly. Yager's playing somewhere in Russia. God fucking knows. He's 80.
At 53, yeah. But I mean, the thing with DiPietro is that he had 2 hip surgeries and couldn't play anymore. And that's why he was basically out of hockey by the time he was 28.
Yeah, no, I know DiPietro was an injury thing, but we still take shots at him because he was collecting that money for forever. But I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can not have a long-term deal with some of these guys that are waiting. Panarin himself at 34, I can see him getting 5-6 years. I see why they're signing guys for those contracts now, especially with the fact that after next year, or after this year, excuse me, you can't go past 7.
Right.
I don't know. Back to the Rangers, it's all going to depend where they land when you get to the Olympic break. Because, Dolan, like you said, they like trading those guys. Could you see Panarin 5 years at like a 13 or 14 AAV?
I see. I'm still sitting in the idea of 4 years at 8. At that point, that would actually get him to 38 and just kind of let him ride out and everything. I don't know if it'll be with the Rangers. I don't know if they're going to work a sign and trade. I want to say if he comes back with the Rangers, maybe 2 at like 9 AAV. I don't think he's going above 12 at that point.
You don't think Dolan will give him 13 just to do one of these to Connor?
I quite honestly don't even know what the overall Rangers cap situation is going to look like by then.
Do you think Dolan cares?
Yeah, because the NHL has really started to put the hammer down about, the whole Vegas thing. Toronto, they don't, especially also now with the new CBA, that they're actually doing that you have to be cap compliant this year, circumventing the start of the CBA next year. So when they get to the playoffs, if the Rangers get in, they still have to be cap compliant.
Okay. That's right. You had mentioned that.
Last thing before we get to band practice, we head up north and to our neighbors up north, our wonderful neighbors up north, not the 51st proposed state, the place where some of us may end up heading before too long, but we actually head to the gridiron up there. No, we're not talking Blue Jays. This came down earlier today, and Michael, this might be the catch of the year in all of football, pro, college, or whatever.
Oh, CFL, here we go.
We head to Winnipeg, to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Nice.
Has time, Dusty. Makes the handoff to Brady. Wants to go deep. He will go deep down the field for Wilson. Up for grabs and he catches it. Oh my goodness. What happened there? Jackson comes away with it. The officials are going to say touchdown. And now they're going to sort things out. I cannot believe Wilson hauled that one in.
You talked about the play of the year. Like, this is another play of the, this is an amazing play. If this stands.
What was that?
He tipped it to himself for the touchdown. Shot on the perimeter, trying to throw to Wilson downfield. But watch here, it's short. He goes to jump, makes a jump ball. It's bouncing. Everybody's trying to bounce it up. Terrell Ford does. Wilson tips it to himself. Hopefully we have more angles to see this catch.
Here we go.
Terrell Ford tips it up.
That might be the best. That might be the best catch I've seen this or last year.
Oh my God, that was a great play. And what a dickhead that defensive back is.
To try and steal that ball away. I'm telling you, CFL, I love watching some CFL games on Saturday.
I never knew what the CFL was until Flutie.
I'm a bit of a Bombers fan. It's
Now, because I was never massive into college football before I moved to Ohio, I remember when Rocket Ismail told the NFL to go scratch and went to Toronto. When he didn't go to the NFL from Notre Dame and went and played with Flutie. But James, we're at 152. Can we get under 2? Can we get under 2?
Would you shut up and just push the button already?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
It's the YZ Translator on the Wise Guys Sports Show.
I'm forever unclean.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the YZ Translator, the best segment of the night because it is the last segment of the night. It is this part of the show where James and I give each other names in and or out of the sports world. And the first thing that pops into our heads are what we give to you and will forever remain living on the internet. As always, has become tradition. Are we getting close to our 100th Chronicle?
we're getting there.
Well, we're getting close to our 100th Translator.
Yeah, 100 Translator. I want to say we've still got probably a good 3 to 4 months before we actually hit our 100th Chronicle.
But I think the 100th Translator should be next month.
I can answer that here in one note.
So I can name that tune in one note.
As the Chiefs have now pulled ahead 20-10 after 3.
The Mahomes had a rushing touchdown to give.
We're at 91, so this is number 92. So by the time we actually head out for our Christmas break, our holiday break, we will have hit Translator 100.
Do we sandbag it and do the 100th Translator at the YZs in January?
I think we actually, I think with the way that the schedule lines up, we might actually be able to do the 100th Translator to end 2025. I'd have to look at the calendar, but I think we might be able to do it.
Well, remember, we're off Veterans Day weekend because I won't be in Georgia.
I'll be able to calculate that a little bit after tonight's show, but yeah, we're gonna be real close.
Yes, we are. And to start the 92, you said?
Yeah. So next
To
week makes
start-
93. The 26th is 94. November 2nd is 95. We're off the 16th. We're off the 9th. I'm sorry. The 16th would be 96. 23 is 97. November 30th, which is the game weekend, is 98. The 7th is 99, and the 14th, which will probably be our last show of the year, would probably be 100.
Yeah, we'll close the year out with that then. And we'll pick up obviously, as we will for every year moving forward, with the Wisies in January after our hiatus for the holidays. So James, if you would, sir, this evening's Chronicle.
We've been talking about it with the fact that you've been calling me in the morning a little bit more, as opposed to just our normal Thursday or sometimes Wednesday rundown. From what we've discussed before and after our days at work have happened,
Yeah.
and it's not even calling in sick.
I can't even with you. I can't. Oh boy. So James, your first name in tonight's Chronicle, and we're going to start at the top, sir, is now 3-time WNBA champion head coach Becky Hammon.
I mean, her face is definitely on the mountain for the women's league. Um, You'd have to go back to the first 4 years with Houston. You've definitely got, you've definitely got Minnesota with their titles, Phoenix with their titles. She's probably the best one in the modern era with this, but it also doesn't hurt the fact that she's also got the best player in the game right now with her squad, and neither one of them are going anywhere anytime soon. So we can officially squash any rumors of her going to the NBA at that point, because she's basically got the right thing set up, especially now with the league ready to explode even further with the expansion, the new TV contracts, the new probably player schedule, the new player pay schedule that's going to end up coming out of the disgruntledness with the Kathy Engelbert saga from a couple of weeks ago, that's going to still continue through the winter. She was damn good as a player. She might even be better as a coach.
Yeah, this is the great player, because you don't normally see great players turn into great coaches. Magic tried it, was no good. Bird tried it, was good, but never got over the hump. Your great coaches, seems in the NBA, are the players who are fair to Midland type players, and then are able to pass it on. The one in Boston, what the fuck's his name again? Joe Mazzulla. He was in Kyrie's draft class. Who the hell else? Phil Jackson was not a great player with the Knicks. It's a great head coach. Been a couple other ones that have been okay players and great head coaches. You don't normally see great players become great head coaches, and Becky has definitely translated. Who you got for me, bud?
Mike, your first name in the YZ translator tonight. We're going to go a little off the board here, and it was one future Hall of Famer to another future Hall of Famer that happened over the weekend across the pond. And I'm hoping you saw this, and it was a complete shock to the 40,000 that were in attendance. And it was the introduction of John Cena to the face that runs the place, Mr. AJ Styles.
Not only did I see it, I've watched that match in its entirety. First of all, Cena is doing the retirement parade.
He's got 4 dates left.
The best I've ever seen. He wore the belt again. He turned heel, which was one of the better heel turns I've ever seen. He went back to face. He is now lost to his greatest enemy. And of course, with the win it was in Perth, I think, right? In Australia. Maybe the greatest introduction of an opponent we've ever seen, and the flowers given. Did you see any of that match, James?
I saw a lot of the highlights with it. I love the fact that he basically paid homage, and he's been doing this recently, to some of his better friends and rivals over the years. The spear by Edge, the execution. He pulls out the RKO, the Hangman DDT. Styles going back to the old school short TNA style trunks. It was just,
these are the finishers.
Yeah.
These are the finishers they went through in that match. The RKO, the Hangman DDT, the Walls of Jericho, the Camel Clutch. They did somebody's
the choke slam and the tombstone.
AJ hit Sweet Chin Music on him, but the moment of the night.
And also hit a couple of Styles clashes.
Yup. The cat just fell off the desk. But the moment of the night was when John Cena hit AJ Styles with Sister Abigail. And then everybody took the phones out and the fireflies were lit and they were singing "A Whole World in His Hands." And you saw Cena. Cena didn't see it at first because he was on the mat. He looked up and Cena became physically choked up. You could see it. And he kind of looked at the heavens and he finished the match. They went almost a half hour.
Yeah. For the fact that Cena is Cena and Alan Jones, AJ, are both in their mid-40s and able to, the fact that they had not faced off since that rivalry, really 10 years ago, with also AJ's litany of injuries in the last 3 or 4 years, because, they've even said it. Cena has 4 dates left. He's probably only got 2 matches left in him of that. He's going to fight at Survivor Series, and then his final match is probably going to be like mid-December on a Saturday night's main event in Washington, D.C., they've already said. And then AJ is going to end up retiring next year. And AJ is going to be one of only, I want to say, 3 or 4 wrestlers that are going to be both in the TNA/Impact and WWE Halls of Fame, with the others being Kurt Angle and Sting.
Who do you think Cena's going to close against?
That's going to be very, very interesting because he's gone. He went through Orton. He got Punk. He got AJ. Edge is in another company. He's already fought Lesnar.
Is it Roman?
I hope to God it is not Roman.
Where I can see him and Roman having a thing is at War Games, because it's going to be the whole faction that Roman's going against now, Heyman's crew. And like last year, they're going to need a last person. Last year, of course, Heyman brings out Punk as the 5th man. I can see a scenario. Hey, knock it off. I can see a scenario where the same thing happens, and it's Roman, the Usos, and one other guy. Maybe it's Punk. Maybe it's somebody else. Maybe it's Jacob Fatu. who wants nothing to do with those
See,
guys.
see, and there's a lot of tension with Jimmy and Jay, and I'm thinking Jay may end up turning heel. So I'm thinking it could be Jimmy, Roman, Jacob, Punk, and Cena, possibly against against Seth, Braun, Bronson, um,
Solo and
Solo, and Lesnar, possibly.
what more could you want for War Games, James? Other than when Orton came back a couple years ago, and then Punk came back after the match. I don't think there's anything else you could ask for War Games.
The other, one other piece of wrestling news: TNA's WrestleMania type style show is going on right now. They might actually be very close to ending, and as they're doing Bound for Glory tonight in Lowell, Massachusetts, and headlined by current uh, uh, TNA World Champion, current NXT wrestler Trick Williams against Mike Santana. But the two matches that are that a lot of people are focused in on is one is the TNA Women's Knockouts Championship, which was actually vacated by Ash by Elegance, the former Dana Brooke in WWE, who just a couple of weeks ago forfeited the title when she actually said that she has to step away and officially retire immediately. And we're not talking it's a pregnancy, and she has not come out and really said anything. She's already taken a backstage role with this, so very interesting. But also, we also have the final match of Team 3D / the Dudleys going on possibly right now. It is the Dudleys against the Hardys, the NXT and TNA Tag Team Championships in a tables match one final time, as Devon has already said this is his final match tonight. And it might also be the final match for Bubba as well.
Wow. And they brought the Hardys out for it. That's amazing.
And the some of the other news is that they're looking to the women's tag team champions known as the Inspiration, who we both remember in WWE as the Iconics. Their contract is up after tonight, but they retain their titles as TNA is looking to sign them to a multi-year contract. And then also there was one other person, Tessa Blanchard returned tonight after about 2 months off of TV, as she was actually having enhancement surgery. I'll just leave it at that. And then also there's talk that the Hardys, when they more than likely retain tonight, TNA, with the working relationship that they've had with both Matt and Jeff over the years, the multiple stints that they've had, are looking to sign them to one final run as well. Because I don't think it's something where the Hardys go back to WWE for like a third time, because except for like a Hall of Fame. I think really they've kind of WWE made them household names, but I think their best work has been in TNA.
Agreed. All the guys we liked during the Attitude Era are all retiring. It's just bullshit. Got one more name for you, dude. And it's one that is going to make you laugh and possibly cry all at the same time. James, your second and final name tonight is that poor bastard, New York Jets head coach Aaron Glenn.
Could we be talking about one and done already when he's actually defending a quarterback who had -10 passing yards? And then, I mean, how soon before he actually starts calling out the fans when they start booing them off the field at MetLife? The fact that those same fans were going to be calling for Brian Dable's job, and now they're going to be talking about yours, not even halfway through the season at this particular point. Yeah, you might have wanted to reconsider the option when how good you had it under Dan Campbell before you actually took a head coaching job with the worst run football franchise in North America right now.
Ow. Well, I mean, he was drafted by the Jets, and he played well there. I can see why he wanted to take the job. But yeah, it's not working out the way he thought it was going to.
This is the second time we brought up Scott Frost tonight.
Yeah.
Michael, your second and final name tonight. He's kind of back in the news for some of the wrong reasons. And no, it's not Mark Sanchez. I'm going to burst your bubble right there.
That's
It's a story. It's a story just like the sands through the hourglass. He's having yet another surgery, and that would be one Mr. Eldrick Tiger Woods.
there will never be a golfer that'll have the impact on the sports world that this man did. Whether it be really in 3 phases. The first phase was curiosity. The second phase was sheer dominance. And the third phase is maybe the biggest fall from grace in professional sports history. It pains me that he has broken down this way. I will just say this more about it. Do me a favor, Tiger. Don't be your old man. And don't push Charlie the way you got pushed. Don't do it. Don't be your dad. Charlie's going to play. Charlie's going to play. Be the cheerleader. Don't be the taskmaster. But it's sad, Jim. It really is. It's sad.
I'm going to give you 3 scenarios before we get out. What's more likely to happen? I want your honest answer.
Okay.
Tiger returns sometime in 2026 and plays Champions Tour. Probably within the next 2 years, I would think. Number 2, Tiger takes a whole shitload of money and sells his soul and goes and plays live. Or Tiger kind of steps back even further from playing competitive golf, and we actually see really how much more entertaining and how much further that he can push the video league in year number 2, year number 3, etc., where he really doesn't have to put the strain and the grind of walking 3 miles 4 times a week.
I'm going to give you letter D, which is if Tiger plays in 2026, it will be that father-son tournament. Because I think they have John and John David Daly in their sights. And he'll do the video league thing.
Which was still entertaining as hell last year.
It was. The New York team had each New York baseball team walk them out on time. Yeah, he'll be back at the tail end of 26. He'll play the father-son tournament with Charlie. And then I think he'll be the video golfer. He'll probably come back once a year.
He's not gonna make it for season 2 because I just looked up. I couldn't remember the name of it. The TGL season 2 just released their schedule earlier this week. The season will kick off between New York and Atlanta on December 28th. So he's not going to make it back for
season 3.
Yeah,
he'll be there for season 3. But yeah, it's tough, dude. It's tough. It's how many of us didn't give a damn about golf until he stepped onto the tee box in Milwaukee?
I mean, because of my dad's influence, we were always watching it. He was just the guy that made it cool to be able to start watching it every Sunday, which we were already doing.
But that's what I'm saying, because I would watch tournaments myself.
Yeah.
I'd always watch the majors. I'd always watch Augusta. I'd always watch the U.S. Open. I've always watched the Tour Championship, and I always watch the Open. I was watching every Sunday when Tiger was big. I'll never forget that Friday in April of 1997 when he took the lead in the Masters for the first time. And we were speaking of a teacher we both had. I cut his class to go watch that second round.
But yeah, I've been watching, I watch Royal Canadian, I watch Western Canadian, I watch Firestone, I watch, St. Jude Classic, I'll watch, the Arnold Palmer Classic. It's, I watch a lot of the major, the Waste Management Open, Phoenix Open, TPC, everything. So it's like I will keep up on a fairly regular basis. I can't remember half of the names that are there now, but it's definitely fun to, tune in over a weekend. It's just going to be weird knowing that now we're already into next season because now they're actually playing overseas for the next 4 to 5 months.
Yeah. And Hawaii, which is technically overseas, but
right.
But yeah, no, it's weird. It's definitely weird. Because you think about the moments. You think about a win for the ages. You think about the one-legged Monday afternoon with Rocco. You think about the putt when he stared it down. You think about we just had the Ryder Cup, the comeback in '99 on that U.S. team. You think about him just dominating Pebble Beach. You think of the Tiger Slam. You think of, I'm going to my second Jim Nantz call, the Return to Glory call from 2019, when he won the tournament, and then everybody saw him hug his son, and had that same frog in their throat from his old man, and 22 years earlier. This is rough, dude. I saw he was had another back surgery. I was like, come on.
By the way, did you happen to see who won the opening tournament of the PGA season this weekend?
No, who won?
Jason Kelsey's best friend, Xander Schauffele, won in Yokohama today.
Did he really? Oh, those two. Did you see the part about the song? Go look up people reacting to it on TikTok. Hilarious. Because they don't think it's about that. And then they're like, oh, no, it's about that.
So we're going to get out of here and enjoy the last 10 minutes of being awake before we drift off. But we will see you guys next Sunday night, October the 19th. We will actually we might push back to 8:30 because starting on Friday at 3 p.m., I'm on vacation. I'll have the translator cut midway through the week. We'll actually have a couple of we got an idea for a couple of little wrinkles to start with next show. Couple of extra little segments or at least add-ons to existing segments. But we will see you guys next week. It looks like it's going to be another kind of regular formatted show as we inch closer to the start of the NBA season. Maybe the Buffalo Sabres will score more than one goal a game and finally win a game by the time we come there. It's highly doubtful.
Maybe the Browns will score a touchdown. That's not the one I was thinking. Hold on.
The guy is drunk, but there he goes.
It could be the same thing as Did you see the clip with the Detroit Tiger announcers? I mean, at least he kept it clean and is not going to end up getting blackballed like Tom Brenneman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Clean-ish.
Cleanish.
I mean, he'll get they'll definitely get a nice little six-figure fine from the FCC for that.
Most likely. Most likely. Real quick before we sign off, a couple score updates. 27-17 with 7:11 left in the fourth quarter in Kansas City, as Kansas City has opened a 10-point lead. And with 2 outs in the top of the ninth inning, it is Seattle 3. They've gone to the bottom of the ninth. Seattle 3 and Toronto 1. So we will see you guys next week. Another regular show as we are quickly chugging down the hill to the closeout of 2025 and the prep for the opening of 2026. That's right, our 6th year on the air.
I got to go back and look next week or the week after. I almost forgot. I think we've got the 4-year anniversary show.
We'll have to look at. I think it's the 26th.
Yeah, I'm gonna look. Well, that'll basically be that'll be on the sports note page, and I'm finally going to get around to doing a blog for the first time in a month at some point this week. Mike will actually have his podcast, but I will actually have the anniversary show date posted to the Wise Guys section on the JC Blue Note page at some point this week.
Yeah, and just a programming note: the Big Rican episode will not be on the Big Rican page. It will be on the Wise Guys page. It is going to get ugly.
So we will see you guys next Sunday night. Everybody have a great week, and enjoy some hockey. Enjoy some the doubleheader of football tomorrow, and enjoy the playoffs.
See you guys next week.